will change lives and improve our communities. Michigan's community colleges have long addressed the issue of talent development and skills gaps, and LCC has been at the forefront of providing our students with the in-demand skills employers are seeking. Since 1957, we've been preparing students for successful university transfer and rewarding careers in technology, healthcare, and manufacturing. In our great state of Michigan, manufacturing accounts for over 635,000 jobs, and Michigan manufacturers continue to compete successfully with other states and across the globe. It's now my pleasure to introduce the President and CEO of the Michigan Manufacturers Association, John Walsh. Manufacturing's future here in Michigan is in good hands, with John leading the charge in pursuit of manufacturing excellence.
Thank you, Steve. Very proud to be here. Dr. Robinson was going to be formal, but he was so insistent that I called him Steve earlier. I'm pleased to be here with the governor, legislative leaders, and lieutenant governor to let you know that the Michigan Manufacturers Association fully supports this budget, and we're very proud of it. As the largest sector of the Michigan economy, thousands of manufacturing companies and 600,000 of our fellow citizens are working in this industry, manufacturing. And we believe this budget is a big step toward a bright future. In particular, we appreciate both the governor and the legislature for expanding investment in workforce development. $120 million dedicated to the Going Pro Talent Fund, Michigan Reconnect, Futures for Frontliners, and a focus on recruiting veterans to apprenticeship programs. This budget will open doors to new opportunities for Michiganders and help employers find the skilled talent so desperately needed to drive our state's economy. This bipartisan effort to develop a highly skilled workforce will, I am certain, help create jobs and unleash our manufacturing power. As a former budget director, I'd like to just share a few words. I appreciate this investment, but I also appreciate a substantial investment in our rainy day fund that will assure our future stability. And we also appreciate the investment in the unemployment trust fund, protecting our workers and our employers in the future. It's responsible decisions like these that help remove barriers to our success and enhance our future. In closing, I'd like to just note something, again, as a former budget director. Sometimes a budget is just a budget. It's a foundational expectation of our elected officials to deliver proper funding for our services. But other times, budgets are a meaningful investment in the future. It represents the changing needs and desires of our citizens as debated through our elected officials. And I think that's what this budget represents, Governor, is a true debate moving forward. And on that point, democracy is a wonderful form of government, but it's loud and it's messy because we allow the exchange and transfer of ideas. That's a good thing. But more often than not, our elected officials do agree and reach compromise and represent us moving forward. Our governor, our representatives in the House, our state senators did just that with this budget. And it's something that we should celebrate with vigor and acknowledgement. And I encourage us all to recognize that fact and thank all those that were involved. With those few short words, it is my pleasure now to introduce the Lieutenant Governor of Michigan, Garland Gilchrist. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. And John, thank you, and thank MMA for the leadership you're showing for helping power the state of Michigan as we move forward, you and all of your members. I also want to thank you, Dr. Robinson, for hosting us and the entire LCC team. It's good to be here. I was here in this space in 2019, except we were facing the other direction to launch the Going Pro program and talk about how LCC and institutions like it were going to play such a critical role in making sure that people could get the training they needed in their places of work to advance their careers further. I am, while I'm excited to hear from Governor Whitmer, I am extremely excited to hear from Mariah Lawrence, who I'll introduce in a few moments, a person who is participating in the Michigan Reconnect program and is really a demonstration about how the future of Michigan is so bright because of ambitious, hungry, and talented people like Mariah. You know, today's budget signing is really the latest example of the fact that when leaders work together and we choose collaboration over conflict, when we choose our values over vindictiveness, we can achieve the goal of implementing policies that put the prosperity and potential of Michiganders first. You know, when Governor Whitmer and I first took office, we focused on making progress on the essential issues that matter most to most Michiganders. That included cleaning up our drinking water, fixing our crumbling infrastructure, connecting people to the internet, and providing educational wraparound supports for our children and families. This year's budget delivers on all of those priorities and many more in ways that will genuinely improve quality of life for everyone in the state of Michigan. Now, it's equally important to discuss that this budget came together because of the leadership of Governor Whitmer. Our administration was able to, in good faith, collaborate in divided government with a Republican legislature. It reminds me of one of my favorite quotes that I think of in a space like this from Henry Ford. It talks about that coming together is a beginning. Staying together is progress, but working together, that is success. This past year and a half have been filled with partisan tension that's become increasingly and incredibly frustrating for many, many people, myself included. But in the end, this is very, very simple. Michiganders want action. They want government and people in government to solve problems, to do the work, to deliver the results. So how does this budget reflect that? Michiganders want increased access to avenues that will allow them to change and upgrade their skills so they may raise incomes and better provide for their families. They've asked for increased access to childcare, which is fundamental to the success of any parent working to put dinner on the table. And I think I speak for every parent as a parent of 3, that nothing unlocks parental productivity like a safe, reliable, affordable, convenient place to take your children. And the people of Michigan, the Great Lakes state, want to be able to actually turn on their tap and trust the water that they drink. This budget that Governor Whitmer is about to sign meets these needs and the needs of many others. It sets up Michiganders across our state for success. Governor Whitmer and I believe that every Michigander deserves a path to a good-paying, high-wage skill in an in-demand job field. We are here helping to ensure that through programs like Michigan Reconnect and Futures for Frontliners, we can build that pathway. This budget fully funds both the Michigan Reconnect and Futures for Frontliner program, along with the Going Pro program that we kicked off a couple of years ago. That deserves to be recognized and celebrated and built upon. These are critical programs that are going to help working people get the skills they need to earn good-paying jobs going forward. We're investing $55 million in Michigan Reconnect to provide a tuition-free pathway in an in-demand industry for all adults in the state of Michigan over the age of 25. And with the funding that we provided for the Futures for Frontliners program, a program, by the way, that is unique to the state of Michigan, we are able to ensure that 22,000 more Michigan residents can again have access to tuition-free college. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, many Michiganders found themselves working every day, risking their own lives, their own health, and of those who are around them, to do the work to make sure that people could still be alive, could still be productive, and accomplish what they needed to accomplish. There's the people who were stocking shelves. These were our healthcare heroes, people who were working at the grocery store, or people who were letting you make a deposit at the bank. These individuals and so many more made tremendous sacrifices and took great risks so that some semblance of normal life could continue for many people across our state. This program is something that we're able to do thanks to those people who made it possible by working. And we are saying thank you to them in a way that no other state has, because our gratitude is that deep. This budget also invests an additional $40 million in the Going Pro program, which is expanding these employer-based programs, which are really critical because, again, employers know exactly what they need to grow. And by supporting these programs at work, we can help them truly meet the needs for their growing and ambitious futures and match them with the ambitious talent that they've been able to recruit. You know, these programs that are expanding people to a different way of learning, to different careers, they are essential for Michigan to move forward. I was one of the young people who benefited from such exposure programs growing up in and around the city of Detroit. They can make a difference and change lives, just like it changed the trajectory of my own life and career by introducing me to engineering at a very young age. Now, in the coming days, we'll be discussing the many resources that this budget will be able to provide to Michiganders across the state And just one example is that this budget is going to allow for increased access to families to have nutritious food options. This is a bold budget that tackles historic inequities and problems that Michiganders continue to face on a daily basis. But I am excited about the opportunities and the resources that this budget will bring forward and put on the table for so many people. I want to thank Governor Whitmer for asking me to play a role in helping to lead this process that is delivering impactful programs to our communities. It's a prime launching point for our continued commitment to write everyone into the next chapter of Michigan's history. Today shows just how much progress our administration has made, and it also continues to remind us that our work will only continue. So it's now my honor to turn the podium over to Mariah Lawrence, who is part of our Michigan Reconnect program, and I'm so eager to hear your story. Mariah, welcome.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank Aaron Mastich and Dr. Glasgow and the Reconnect staff, as well as Governor Whitmer, for this opportunity, and I don't take it lightly. After high school, I was done with education. I was done with school, but growing up, I always heard how important education is and how far in life education can take you. But for some reason, it just wasn't clicking for me. As the years have gone by and the older that I've gotten, I've noticed the true importance of education and how having a good education and obtaining such knowledge can take you. It can truly take you anywhere in the world, open many opportunities of employment, and provide a better life for you in general. I looked up the definition of reconnect. It means to connect back together, to reestablish, to create a bond, revise, reawaken, regenerate, and all of which Michigan Reconnect Scholarship has given me the opportunity to do again. Michigan Reconnect has given young adults like me a second chance at education and succeeding in life. For some of us, a second chance is what we truly needed. For someone to believe in them, to stand by them, stand by them in times of need, and when things get tough, and more importantly, to let them know to not give up. It's going to get hard, but it's not impossible to complete. Because of Reconnect Scholarship, I have the opportunity to have a mentor and build relationships that will last a lifetime. Michigan Reconnect Scholarship has given me a second chance. It has connected me with the most considerate, passionate, non-judgmental, encouraging, hardworking, understandable, dependable people that truly believe in me, encourage me, hold me accountable, and push me out of my comfort zone as they can see what's truly inside of me, pushing me to be the best version of myself that I can be. I didn't see the importance of having an education and being in school then, but I truly see the importance of school and having a good education now. I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that if I hadn't heard about the Reconnect Scholarship at the time that I did, I wouldn't be in the position that I am now. The purpose and the timing of things truly amazes me at times, and this is all confirmation that I am in the right place at the right time. And now I would like to thank everyone and the Reconnect Scholarship for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of you today and for giving me a second chance. I would like to introduce Governor Whitmer. Nice job, Mariah. I don't think any of us noticed, but you told me you were a little nervous back there, and that was phenomenal. Thank you. Mariah just gave voice to so many people in Michigan, right? This Michigan Reconnect really is, it's a big deal, and I'm excited to be signing this bill here because there's so much good in the budget bill. So first I got to acknowledge LCC West for hosting us. It's really good to be back. I came here, I don't know, a couple years ago when we announced the Michigan Reconnect program, and today we're making huge progress on that and so much more. Thank you, President Robinson, or Steve, as you like to be called, but all the legislators from both parties who came together to get this done. It was overwhelmingly bipartisan.
in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of a recession that accompanied it, flooding events, divisive elections, conversations around race in America, plots on top of all that. We got a great budget done, and it is a big deal, and couldn't have done it without my Lieutenant Governor by my side, without our phenomenal budget director, Dave Masteron, who's over there hiding out, but he led through all of these tumultuous times and helped us get to a really great result. John Walsh, thank you for being an active participant. And of course, Mariah, thank you for giving voice to so many. And Bethany Wixall, who is the Deputy Budget Director. It truly is a huge team that helped work to make all of this happen. So today we're coming together as I sign a budget that really puts Michiganders first. Now, I mentioned it was overwhelmingly bipartisan. You would think in these moments that we can't find common ground on anything, and yet we were able to on the priorities that are in this budget, making critical investments in the kitchen table issues that Michigan families, Michigan businesses are confronting every single day. This builds on the Michigan New Economy agenda that I have designed with partnership from stakeholders across our state so that we really don't just rebound from COVID to back where we were, but put us on a path for longer-term prosperity. I'm really proud of what we accomplished, but I'm most proud of how we got it done. A Democratic governor with a Republican-led legislature finding common ground in the midst of so much tough stuff that we're all confronting. This budget really is a testament to what we are capable of when we put the needs of the people of our state first and foremost. So this budget shows that divided government doesn't have to be dysfunctional government. And when we stay focused and we work together, we can get great things done. So I want to highlight a few items that I'm particularly happy with. And I want to start with skills. Obviously, we're here at LCC for a reason. Our top priority is to help people get into better jobs so they can earn bigger paychecks and so that business can find the workers that they need so that business can thrive as well. Now, you might remember in my first State of the State, which was 2019, it seems like a lifetime ago in some ways, but I set our state goal at 60%. 60 by 30 was the goal. 60% of our adults with a post-secondary skill or degree by 2030. Today's budget takes a major step toward achieving that goal. We've established the Michigan Reconnect and Futures for Frontliners to ensure that people over 25 and people who stayed on the front line of the pandemic have an opportunity to upskill on a tuition-free path. And so those who are on the front lines, like our nurses and our grocery store clerks, truck drivers, also benefit from this, just like Mariah and 159,999 other Michiganders who have already signed up. This budget fully funds both those programs. That's 160,000 Michiganders like Mariah who are on this path to get the education and skills that they need. The budget also grows the Going Pro program, which helps employers upskill their employee, their workforce. I want to talk about childcare, which is critical as well. As we talk to employers, they're looking for workers, but they also want to make sure that their workers have the support they need to take care of their families. This budget expands low or no-cost childcare to 105,000 more Michigan kids. We know that there are a lot of parents who are trying to get back into the workforce, but they need that support for their children. So this helps people get back to work, but most importantly, it helps get children on a path where they are ready to learn when they get to school. Expanding childcare can give parents peace of mind and offer kids a safe, healthy place to grow and to learn and to play. It also helps small businesses, of course, who are working to staff up. We're delivering, in addition to all of that, a one-time $1,000 bonus to child care workers who have been working hard every day to take care of kids and ensure that they've got the resources. So this will help support people who are in that most critical part of our economy and profession. Next, I want to talk about infrastructure because you wouldn't recognize me if I didn't stand here and talk a little bit about the roads, right? This budget invests nearly $200 million to repair or replace 100 bridges that are in serious or critical condition. It'll also help us create a lot of good jobs in the process, 2,500. So this is on top of the work that we're already doing with the Rebuilding Michigan bonding plan, which is investing $3.5 billion to fix our state roads and highways. The orange barrels equate to good roads and 45,000 good-paying jobs. So this is an important addition to the work that we are doing in that space, because every Michigander deserves to drive on safe, smooth roads and bridges as they go to work or take their kids to school. So today's investment will invest in many bridges that are in dire need of repair or being rebuilt entirely. This includes the Miller Road Bridge in Dearborn, right outside the iconic F-150 Ford plant, which is one that we've highlighted many times as one example of the many that we are going to now rebuild because of this budget. We also bolster infrastructure statewide. Money to clean up contaminated sites when we're talking about water infrastructure in particular, deal with toxic PFAS levels, repair aging dams, and replace lead service lines in communities like Benton Harbor and beyond. Every parent should be able to hand their child a glass of water and know that it's going to be safe for them to drink. And that's what we are precisely continuing to work toward. We also have pieces of this budget that improve health for our families and communities. We're offering alternatives to traditional nursing homes for our seniors. We're funding treatment for sickle cell disease and expanding the Healthy Moms, Healthy Babies program to ensure that moms have the support they need. Both of these investments also help close racial health disparities. And we're making an hourly raise for direct care workers permanent and increasing it by $2.35 an hour. These workers have been on the front lines of this pandemic. They have been through an incredible amount. We gave them some bump in pay, but it was temporary. Now it's permanent, and that's really important as well. We're increasing funding to our state police and helping them hire more officers and improve training. And we're also increasing funding to local governments, which will help local governments do the same for their local police departments. These investments, this increase of support, will help keep our families and communities safe. And the final piece that I really want to highlight is one that John Walsh spoke about a moment ago. Putting $500 million deposit into our rainy day fund, that's what we all call it, it's the Budget Stabilization Fund. I'm proud of this because it is fiscally responsible. We got our credit rating upgraded twice in the last year and a half, which is amazing when you think about it. 2 agencies upgraded our credit rating outlook, S&P and Moody's, and by putting $500 million into this ensures that we are solid financial footing going forward, but also shows that this is a really responsible budget. So we've agreed on all the key pieces of the budget. I have vetoed a few line items that would have utilized state funding to promote an anti-choice political agenda. We know that reproductive health care is critical to women and families. While we see other states pursuing some extreme and regressive bans that put lives at risk and criminalize healthcare providers for just doing their jobs, as long as I'm governor, I'm going to make sure that we prevent that from happening in Michigan. I've also addressed some unenforceable boilerplate to ensure that we continue to support our local public health measures and protect people and save lives. But where we found agreement on is so much bigger and overwhelming. So I'm really proud that this budget puts Michiganders first and that we were able to agree on core pieces of this truly bipartisan budget. It's a budget that proves when we focus on tackling the big problems that we all are facing, we're capable of delivering real change that makes a difference in people's lives. Now, as we come back to the table, we've got more work yet to do. Let's celebrate this moment and be pleased with the great work that is done, but we must continue working with the additional American Rescue Plan dollars that we are so fortunate to have, because our task ahead is still important, and we've got to keep working toward finding that additional common ground. I've laid out plans for how we should do that, prioritizing communities, prioritizing our small businesses, and of course, increasing our middle class, who's a part of our middle class. So This is a great moment here in Michigan. I'm really grateful for all the leaders that were a part of today's event and grateful for the legislature who's in session, but we did get together earlier so we could acknowledge the important work that happened on both sides of the aisle to make this day a reality. So with that, thank you all for being here and thank you for everything you've contributed to making this budget happen. All right, we have a few press questions. I think that there's still more work to do in that space. Today is September 29th. The fiscal year starts on the 1st of October. I was really glad that we were able to get this done, knowing that we weren't going to get close to a budget, to a shutdown or anything like that. This is a real testament to the work that we are capable of, and I would love to take that kind of energy into continued conversations on the Catastrophic Claims Fund and addressing no fault in Michigan. Okay. Okay, Dave, I think I heard your first question about the budget and vaccines and higher education. I didn't get the second part, though. Was it about Ford? Okay, it's about Ford? Yes. Okay. I'm sorry, it's just a little hard to hear, Dave. Okay, so first on the budget issue, despite any public statements that you may have read, my letter that I send along with the signing letter, which articulates what the actions were that I took within this budget, does not specifically deem the vaccine-related language unenforceable for universities. It specifically states that universities have constitutional autonomy, and they've got to decide how they're going to implement boilerplate. It's my understanding that none of the universities have policies that run contrary to the spirit of that boilerplate anyway, but that is precisely what the letter says, and that's the spirit with which we took action. Now, with regard to Ford, I can tell you this. It's become pretty clear that Ford had made some determinations around their site selection based on things that were not limited to state, I think, being able to compete with other states or even utility rates for that matter. I do think that as having been their primary domicile, Michigan is always going to put a competitive alternative on the table when we are given an opportunity to. And we look forward to future investments, them looking to Michigan first and giving us the opportunity to really put a robust package on the table as we want them to grow in their home state first and foremost. I think that there were probably a lot of factors that went into their determination. It wasn't a state selection, it looked more like a site selection, but us having tools that we need to be competitive, I'm always looking to make Michigan more competitive and always solutions on that. We need a ready to do that, and that really wasn't the case here. I think that there were other factors that they were taking into account as they move forward on this.
We can take a couple more questions. Eric? Governor, there's a lot of added funding in this budget that was unexpected, 5% I know to higher education. Can these agencies, these industries rely on that going forward, or are we going to see a regression possibly?
I think it's important for all of us to acknowledge that in this moment, we've got a chance to lay the groundwork and create a real path for opportunity. we are working with a lot of resources that are one-time in nature. Now, we turned a projected $3 billion deficit 18 months ago into $3.5 billion surplus. Part of that was the management around the virus. Part of it was incredible resources that have come into our state because of the American Rescue Plan and the work that the Biden administration did. Now, I think every university understands how precarious all the discussions were. They also understand that where these resources are coming from and that it's not baked in as we move forward. That being said, I think higher ed is an important investment that we make as a state so that we can keep it affordable for Michigan students and continue to lead the world when it comes to having phenomenal community colleges and higher education system. So every item in this budget was negotiated, and working with the legislature, we wanted to acknowledge that they had some priorities that they wanted to address, and we worked with them to make sure that they were able to address some of them. We also made priorities that I was eager to address that maybe they weren't keen on. That's how negotiations work, and I think that this budget really reflects the best of bipartisanship. So thank you for the question. I have laid out, we worked very closely with stakeholders across the state, including a lot of the business organizations, so that we were plotting a strategic plan to utilize these one-time dollars that really put us on a path. We don't want to waste this opportunity. We need to act, though. This fall, we really have to deploy those resources. Other states are moving fast, and they've already started to deploy resources. Well, now, we want to be smart, right? It's about creating a path. It's about using this opportunity. But the Michigan New Economy agenda that I outlined on Mackinac Island last week really is focused on growing the middle class. That means pulling more people into it because they can make a good living so that they are can raise their families and thrive in our state. Supporting small business, and supporting communities. So $100 million toward affordable housing is a great investment that we can utilize some of these dollars for, as just one example of the many ways that as we determine how we're going to utilize these federal dollars, the quicker we can move, the better, although the most important thing is that we get it right, and that's why I've set an agenda that I think really makes Michigan a place where businesses can prosper and individuals can prosper and live a high quality of life. We're not going to get into one-off new programs, pet projects. We got to really lay the groundwork here, and when we do that, our economy is stronger and individuals in Michigan can have a higher quality of life, and that's the goal, raising wages for people in our state and making this a place where business can thrive and people want to raise their families.